July 14th, 2022 at 6 o'clock PM. First of all, we have announcements and public comment. I believe that would be those certificates of compliance.
I have two certificates of compliance I would like to talk about. Okay, so the first one is a very old file. It's 345-151. It's from 1993. It's for 6 Tolman. 6 Tolman is on the corner of Tolman and Glendale. It was for the construction of the house by Eric Olson. In the area, I mean, it's almost 20 years old now, as far as the file, and it apparently is now showing up on the deed for a certificate. So I have the certificate here for sign-off for the members.
Okay.
So I'm recommending that that be issued. I'll throw the signature page out for that. The second one,
Matt, let's motion these individually. What was that address?
6 Tolman.
Can I get a motion to approve the certificate of compliance for 6 Tolman?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Okay, so the next one is on 415 Hale Street, known as Lot 2. 415 Hale Street was a single-family home that was just recently built. It's file number 345-0681. The area was built in accordance with the order. I took a look at both of them anyway, but I went down and took a look at both of them. This house has the lawn established. The order is specific for this lot, and I'm recommending that the certificate be issued.
Can I get a motion for 415 Hale Street?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
So I have the signature pages for both. Thank you very much. You guys are all set with these?
Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sign it first.
Any other announcements, Matt?
I don't have any other announcements.
Public comments?
I will keep you up to date when I find out more about the open space and the North County Land Trust. So.
Okay, thank you. Has anyone not read the minutes from 6-9 on the board? If you've read the minutes and approve of them, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes for 6-9.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
All set on, what time, 6:05? All set, 6:05, yeah.
Yeah, we're all set.
Okay, for 6:05, pursuant to provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Town of Winchton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchton Conservation Commission will hold public hearing on Thursday, July 14th, 2022, 6:05 p.m. to consider a request for determination of applicability filed by David and Danielle Higgins for proposed work within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetation at 50 Ballinville State Road. Assessors map M7-A-4, Lot 63. The proposed work includes the upgrade of subsurface sewage disposal system. The hearing will be held second floor auditorium, Town Hall, 109 Front Street, Winchton, Mass. Alternative translations and accommodations for disabled persons is available by advance request. Okay.
Good evening. Could you state your name, please?
Yep, Chris Stoddard, Stoddard Engineering. So what we're here today is we have a failed leach pit located just outside the 50-foot buffer of the wetlands to the south. We did some soil testing and tried to get the system as far away from the existing wetlands as we could. So what we're here today is just hopefully a negative determination so we can replace the failed septic system.
Chris, I have a close-up of the system on the screen.
Oh,
if you
perfect.
need it.
Yeah, so you can see the circle just to the right of the existing tank. Actually, that's a proposed new tank. That's the existing leach field, or leach pit that's failed. We are proposing, obviously, silt fence and straw wattles around the whole site. It will be a pump system up to the proposed leach field area. It's about as far away as we could get it from the wetland that still made it practicable to pump to, so.
Any questions, Matt? Do you have anything to say about this one?
I don't have any questions on this. This is fairly straightforward. I think he's maximized the system very well. His erosion protection is more than sufficient. I think a negative determination is more than appropriate on this lot for this system.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I'm okay with it.
I'll entertain a request for negative determination.
Make a request for negative determination.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Chris, really good detail, by the way, for an RDA plan. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
So,
Have a good night.
Aye.
So we've got about 3 minutes. We could take care of Lionel's appointment. We've got about 3 minutes till we can start our next hearing, so we could take care of Lionel's appointment.
you, okay. On the new business, we have appointed member of the Conservation Commission to the Open Space Preservation Appraisal and/or Survey Revolving Fund Advisory Committee. And I do believe, Commissioner Cloutier, you've already had a term on this.
I was on it for 1 year.
Okay, so, I mean, if you guys want to reappoint him, just motion vote, and I'll make sure that that gets, sent up to the town clerk and the TA that you guys approved it.
I believe he's appointed by the selectmen, right? And they're just looking for our approval, right?
Right, they're looking for a ratification from you guys.
Okay. So would anyone like to make that motion?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Lionel.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
So what I would be doing is forwarding the ratification to them so that they know.
Okay.
I'll make sure they're all set.
I don't have to sign it.
That didn't run.
We'll go whenever you're ready.
Okay. Just making sure I got the right one here. Yeah, okay. Pursuant to provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Town of Winchton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchton Conservation Commission will hold public hearing on Thursday, July 14, 2022, at 6:10 p.m. to consider notice of intent filed by Ryan Hamilton of Stumpy Acres LLC, owner of a lot on Royalston Road North, identified by Assessors Map 1, Lot 64. The proposed work includes reviewing the existing dirt road running across property, bordering vegetated wetlands and associated buffer zones through the center of the property to usable dirt road. Install culvert to maintain hydraulic connection of a wet area, clean up debris left behind from forestry operation. The hearing will be held on the second floor auditorium, Winchton Town Hall, 109 Front Street. Alternative translations and combinations for disabled persons are available by advanced request. Okay.
Good evening. Can you introduce yourself?
Good evening. My name's Kyle Burchard with Goldsmith Preston Ringwall, representing the client. Unfortunately, Ryan Hamilton, the owner, co-owner, couldn't be here tonight, but I have his uncle, co-owner, Neil Zarella, on the phone. He's also on the Zoom, but can't get the audio to work with his computer. As you mentioned, this is Assessor Map 1, Parcel 64. There was a logging plan that had been submitted by the previous owner. There was substantial amount of logging work done. This parcel is on Royalston Road North, and it's got two, it's an odd-shaped piece, but it measures almost 48 acres. It has a east and a west kind of frontage to it. What we're proposing is off of that western frontage to provide a residential driveway access to get to the other land for future residents. So this wetland area is fairly broad and wide, makes it difficult to gain access to that other area. We've tried to find the most efficient way to make a gravel driveway, 12-foot wide, just enough to be able to get access to the upland areas, and it crosses these wetlands. There's not quite 4,800 square feet of wetland disturbance that takes place as a result. There is compensating mitigation that's included in the application package to replace the disturbed wetland areas. There's a culvert to allow the marshy areas to be able to have proper drainage, as the grade generally falls away from North Royalston Road past the proposed driveway through the culverts. That's essentially the application you see on the screen. The replication area is adjacent to the driveway, abutting the wetland area before you get to the 50-foot buffer zone, just coming in off of North Royalston Road. And it does a dogleg turn in order to get to the upland areas, and as it does that turn, it rises up just enough to get over the culvert. And we've looked at this many different ways to try to minimize the impact. The wetlands are quite jagged around there, and this was the most efficient way that we could get a basic residential access. Happy to answer any specific questions from the commission.
So if the commission, I don't know if any of you guys have been out there, but if you look at this lot, here are the lot lines. So you've got a very narrow strip, and it widens off to a very odd shape. I will come back out with this. The mass mapper on, but it's, for some reason, it's not going tonight. There seems to be an issue with the internet not wanting to work. As you can see, internet connection is unstable. Regardless, this area had a logging plan on it. And was it before your clients bought it?
It was, that plan is at the very back of your packet, if you have that.
It's in the NOI packet, and it should be online too, or in the electronic packet.
It also shows the shape of the lot.
But all the trees along this area where he is proposing the crossing, which I mean is the only way to access the upland is to cross here. This is a pre-existing lot. It's the only way you can access. The trees are already gone.
This is all
Whoever,
disturbed, this is all disturbed land already?
yeah, it's all disturbed land already. I wish I could show you. What is the address of the abutting house? Do you happen to remember it?
I don't have the address, but
Let's try 64.
So I know we've allowed these crossings in the past. Some of our biggest concerns were, number one, being gravel, plowing it in the wintertime and making sure that's not driven into the wetlands and how we're gonna prevent that. That's usually a concern.
right. Well, there is a swale adjacent to the driveway with check dams to kind of control and capture. It's a method of pretreatment for any plowing.
I think in this case, the dumping is, the plowing of snow isn't gonna be a problem. I think it's the salting of the driveway. So if we prohibit any de-icing materials that are sodium-based.
Right.
If it has calcium, it should be okay. And you can regularly get a calcium chloride, liquid or powder from like a Lowe's or a Home Depot.
Right.
If it was sodium, I'd be worried because
Changing the
it's
pH
yeah, it's
of the wetlands.
not very good. But I would do something to probably just do a de-icing prohibition along the driveway. It's not going to be a very steep driveway. It's going to be pretty flat. I'm very familiar with this lot. I've looked at it a million times.
I do appreciate that you proactively offered the replication zones, because usually we have to negotiate for those. So that's good, that's very thorough.
I didn't quite hear that, I'm
I
sorry.
appreciate the way you proactively offered the replication zones, because usually we negotiate for those.
Thank you. Yeah, I would try to make a good plan.
Trying to find the lot on this, but the internet's giving me fits tonight. What I can tell you is that the only concern I saw that the state really had that was relevant was they wanted to know about the stream crossing standards, which would require the 1.2 times bank full width and, one of those natural bottom culverts and trying to maintain flows. But the stream that is going here isn't that substantial. And the commission has the discretion to allow him to use the culvert that he's doing right now, and examining the culvert dimensions and seeing what had been out there for flow during the winter melt, there shouldn't be any issues here. So I think it'll okay. What's gonna wind up happening is this project is gonna clean up the mess that the forest company left out
That's what
there.
it looks like, it's pretty messy. Questions or comments from the board?
He's gonna be cleaning up all that debris that's there, right? Is that the understanding?
As far as the areas of disturbance, within the limits of disturbance, yes. Now, we're not going to obviously go beyond the limits of work, which would include the replication area, the driveway itself. So there's quite a bit of clearing that was done. I don't know if there's an intent to clean up the rest outside of those limits.
If I could interject
Go ahead,
here?
Matt.
To go into the question a little bit more, if you look at the plan, which I don't have up right now, which I will, the bulk of the debris is basically in this area right here. The real ankle breakers are over here. Over here, there is some debris that's going to have to be cleaned up in order to facilitate the culvert. The areas that are over here, probably the cleanest part of the cut. There wasn't very much left out there, and what's left out there, you probably don't need to touch because it's probably just going to make good critter habitat. What it looked like happened over here was that they used this little area as a landing, and in doing that, they just left it a mess.
Right.
So the replication and the driveway going across the lot proper in and of itself is going to clean up that area. If there was any work done on this property, which is off the lot, that would be that owner's responsibility.
I think it should probably be stipulated that the debris that's cleaned up should be taken off-site, and not just piled somewhere on the property, because That'll create its own issues.
Yeah, I don't see an issue with that. Are you guys all right with that?
I think that's all right, yes.
I have a question for Matt, and I'm looking at it like, almost like we're building a dam. So we're gonna have water running down. I'm familiar with the lot. I went out there and looked at it, and I've been out there before, and it was quite the logging operation was quite extensive and quite messy. So I'm looking at your little elbow right there, and I'm thinking a culvert on each side of that elbow just to, I mean, right now it's dry as a bone everywhere, but come a normal year, there may be a lot more water in there than what we're thinking. I'm just thinking that we're building a dam and everything's got to mitigate over to that one culvert. Wouldn't it be more sensible to put 2 smaller ones in or 3 smaller ones in where the water can just naturally seep? We've done that in the past, and that's just my take on it. So, my opinion, and
The one, if I may challenge to that, is spreading out the height to get over the culvert, you
Yeah.
know, using the.
so you're gonna have a little rise.
Right, to get
Okay.
we're not scooping out the wetlands in that area to make a depression for the water to get out. It's really dictated by the downstream grade.
Okay.
So.
That's your lowest point, you think?
That's the,
Yeah.
that's the lowest point of that whole area, so that's where we set the initial outlet invert of the culvert, and so filled over from there. You know, minimal slope, bringing it up. I hear what you're saying. It would, in order to spread those, because it does have somewhat of a bowl shape, it's very broad, but it still does rise up from the lowest spot. So it would end up being more fill in the wetland, delineated wetland area. We're kind of close on the number anyway to 5,000. We'd prefer to, you know, keep that minimal as possible. It took a little bit of doing to work it out so that it was below that number.
And, I mean, quite honestly, I see your point.
I do too.
Quite honestly, when I walked out there, what was left in there they basically just waylaid crossings over there and didn't bother to pull them out when they were done.
Right.
And the way they're in there is not proper for an actual wetland crossing. So what they're doing now is actually creating a damming effect now.
Yeah.
So when I looked at this, it looks to me like the gentleman's proposal actually will remediate that situation.
But it's, you know, when you walk out on the site, it's hard to figure out what's what. I mean, you look at it this way, it's all altogether different, so, yeah.
Are there any abutters on either side? Did you have to turn in any green cards or anything?
I'm sorry.
Are there any abutters on either side?
Are any abutters present?
I think there's a residence to the west, but I don't believe that there's any domiciles
Okay.
to the east.
Those cards are here.
So did you want to know if there were any abutters present? Is that what it was?
Are there any abutters present for this project? Would like to speak? No? I think it's a pretty thorough design, in my opinion. I mean, we've allowed these crossings in the past, and it looks like it's pretty well designed, so. Any other questions or comments from the board?
I think it's gonna help. It's a mess out there.
I've been out there and looked at it, and it was quite a mess. Quite a mess. Anything to clean it up and make it look better.
So I'd entertain a motion to approve it with a standard order of conditions.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Chair votes aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
So next we have a request for determination of applicability for Mark Paquin, 36 Menominee Road West. Proposed vegetation management work within the 100-foot buffer zone.
Is this a continuation? pursuant to provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Town of Winchton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchton Conservation Commission will hold public hearing on Thursday, July 14th, 2022, at 6:15 PM to consider a request for determination of applicability filed by Mark Paquin for proposed work in vegetative management work within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands at 36 Monadnock Road West, Lot 72. The hearing will be held in the second floor auditorium of the Town Hall, 109 Front Street, Winchton Town Hall. Alternative translations and accommodations for disabled persons are available by request. Okay.
Hi, can you introduce yourself, please?
Mark Paquin, my wife Debbie.
Hi.
Good evening. Could you explain the project to us?
Yeah, what I want to do is, I got all this underbrush underneath the trees and stuff. I just want to rip that out so the trees can grow up better. I mean, it's a buffer between my property and my neighbor's property, but I took pictures and I just want to clean it up so the trees can grow better and it looks better, basically. But it's within the 100 meters, so. And then there's, right by my dock, I want to clean up a little bit there too.
Maybe you could come up and show us on these photos what shrubs you want to take out?
Not a problem.
And I have the ortho overlay up on the screen.
There's some good trees right here and stuff, but there's all this brush up underneath. And briars and, you know, and that's what I'm looking, and right here by my dock, I'd like to clean up a little bit of that.
So the middle stuff here, right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna touch a tree. I
Right,
just
and
want
this
to
stuff.
briars and everything else.
This is a different picture.
No, it's the same.
All right, pass that down.
Yeah, I went out and looked at it. A lot of the shrub that's out there is multiflora rose.
It's what?
It's a multiflora rose. You get a lot of multiflora out there.
That's a
And stuff that'll
vegetation.
cut you right up.
It's almost like grooming the trees.
It'll do that. It'll outcompete. That stuff, when it gets a hold and it gets big, it will outcompete trees. I've seen it do that.
It's right by the spillway. There's the spillway right there, and he's right in that cove.
What do you say, Matt? What do you think about this?
Yeah, I think if he's willing to replant some of the more native shrubs, spread out in a manner that's not gonna interfere with the trees, and maybe give them a nice view, it'll help to maintain a vegetative buffer there.
It doesn't
So-
show the spillway.
I don't have a problem issuing a negative determination with the condition that he meets me on the property and we can point out, you don't have to repopulate the thing, but do something that's gonna be more beneficial to the area and the growth. So if we're gonna allow him the opportunity under the bylaw to take out the invasive growth, he should replace some of it with some growth that's more native and can be managed.
Right, I agree. He claims he's doing it for the health of the tree, so as long as he's not doing it for the view, I think it
We're
would
not
be
doing it for the
more
view.
palatable.
That's on this side, the view's straight ahead.
Okay.
It's on the side, so.
The area that we're talking about is more over here and over here than it would be over here. So, yeah, I'm not too concerned about,
It's in front of his fence that we're doing.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not too concerned about somebody clearing out for a view. Not on this one.
And then we have a tree, like, right in front of us, that's to the right of the dock. Those bushes there, the invasive stuff, I wanted to take out so the tree does better there.
Yeah, you don't want that stuff wrapping around the tree.
Right,
So we're gonna
exactly.
maintain the tree canopy and, you know, do a vegetative buffer planting around the area, something to improve the area.
Do you understand what he's saying? You would,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take
Replant.
that out, and he'll tell me what I
Right,
can put in
less
there
invasive
that's gonna help,
species.
but I don't have a problem doing that.
Yeah, and I'll update the file to show the location of where everything is and update the commission on those.
So what we're talking about is getting rid of an invasive species and putting in a more non-invasive
Exactly.
species, but doing a replanting.
Exactly.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board?
Nope, sounds good.
I have a little bit of an issue with this. Seems to me like about a year ago, we were here and you were complaining about someone that moved a lot of trees
Right.
without permission. And now that person we've made put a fence up, and now you want to take your shrubs down because he has a nice fence there. And you were
What?
complaining, excuse me?
plant-
You,
I
you
didn't-
can talk
I
when I'm
wanna bring
done.
this up.
You can take, you can, you
I
were
didn't hear the last
complaining that.
part you said.
Excuse me. He put the fence up, we made him put the fence up,
Yeah.
and now you have shrubs growing next to his fence that you want to take down. That's the way the pictures show it anyhow. So if the board agrees to it, I'll agree to it, but it's going to be much more supervised than just a couple of photos here. I think our agent's going to go out and walk the
Right.
site,
That's what we
and
want.
then
I
we'll
want him to come
tag
to
the
site.
invasive species and only allow those to come out, because we know what happened about a year
First
ago,
of all, we
don't
wouldn't
we?
be doing this if our neighbor didn't take down 100 trees.
But
You
what's
know,
up,
so
one
we
tree
had a
or
nice
100
buffer.
trees? One tree or 100 trees?
Right, but he took the
I know what he
buffer
did,
down.
and I know what happened.
Right, and all 25 trees that he's planted are all dead, and I'm looking at it. So should I be looking at
So
dead trees?
now it's okay for you to take out some shrubbery.
I'm asking permission.
That's true, you are.
So if you
That's a
don't
good
give me
thing.
permission, I
don't
can't
do
take
it,
it
I'll
out.
leave
That's right.
So
Yeah,
I've
but
gone and
it's
spent
asking
all
that
this
we do
money
it
to
right.
ask permission.
I want to see it done right. I don't want just a granted, go ahead, go cut your shrubs out. I want it done right, that way we don't have to revisit it.
They're not shrubs anyways. Most of it
But
is
I haven't been out there.
briars and,
Yeah, they could be.
So what do you want?
Excuse me?
What would you want?
I'm hoping that Matt will go out there and tag the species, the invasive species that can be taken out.
That's fine.
And that's what the plan is, exactly.
Just making it clear that you just can't go in there and just wipe everything out.
I didn't.
I'm just making that clear.
Right.
Okay?
I don't have a problem with asking permission to do it.
Okay,
if you say no, we don't do it.
that's good.
Don't matter.
Are there any butters here who would like to speak about this? Yeah.
Darren Sokol, 291 Glen Allen Street. Are we going to be replanting shrubs that bury such as?
Darren, I'm going to have to ask you to come to the mic, please.
Yeah, just speak in any one of those mics that's lit, so especially because we're gonna not only hear you in the auditorium, they're gonna pick you up for the recording for the broadcast.
Are we going to be replanting shrubbery that has berries on it, such as the briar bushes that the birds eat and stuff, that create the wildlife habitat?
Well, that's what we're looking at, berry bushes.
Yeah.
You can do
That's what I'm
elderberry,
waiting to
winterberry,
see what he wants me
nannyberry,
to- what I
those will
can
do
take
quite
out.
well over there. You can even do like a facultative viburnum bush. The viburnum bush will do the berries too, and it actually flowers really nice, creates a nice buffer.
Well, it's going to be hard to plant anything because of his fence, and it's the corrugated fence, and it heats it up. That's why all 25 of his bushes have died, because there's so much heat coming off of that fence.
Right, well, we're gonna find spots that are gonna be beneficial to the, we're thinking beneficial to the water and to the shade value of your property. That's what we're looking at. Because one of my whole texts when I joined this commission was, if there's gonna be any vegetation management in the lake, like you need to remove invasives, I'm gonna wanna work with the residents to reestablish a buffer that's gonna be beneficial to the water and to the wildlife out there. So the gentleman here, the abutter that's asking about the berry bushes makes an excellent point, and it's exactly
And there are,
along the lines
there
I'm
are a
thinking.
couple blueberry bushes down there, which I would take out, but they're not invasive really, so.
That's not an invasive, but you have a lot of others that are, so that's why we're gonna work together to make sure that this is done properly. So. Thank you for that question, actually, that helped, that actually was a good elaboration, so I appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darren. Okay, so what are we looking for here? We're looking for,
Negative determination with the condition that I map out with him his replantings.
I'd like to make that motion for negative determination.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Right.
So you'll need to wait to hear from Matt. Matt will get in touch with you.
Yep.
And don't do anything until he gets with you and lets you know what you can and can't cut.
You gonna be in town Tuesday?
Yeah, I'm
Come
always
up and see me around 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock
All right?
Tuesday.
We'll start mapping stuff out, and then we can make a time to go on the property.
All right, thank you.
Apologize for the mass mapper, but for some reason, the internet's giving me fits tonight.
Yeah. So next we have an RDA for Amelia Finelli, 119 Laurel Street.
Pursuant to provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Town of Winchendon Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchendon Conservation Commission will hold public hearing on Thursday, July 14th, 2022, at 6:20 PM to consider request for determination for applicability filed by Amelia Finale for proposed work within the 50-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland at 119 Laurel Street, Assessors Map 5D1, Parcel 71. The proposed work includes installation of a fence on the property. The hearing will be held in the second floor auditorium, Town Hall, 109 Front Street, Winchendon, Mass. Alternative translations and accommodations for disabled persons available by advance request. Okay.
Good evening. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name's Emily Finelli.
Could you tell us about your project?
So I want to put up a vinyl fence around the grassy area, my side yard and my front yard. I have a small dog that I want to keep safe. We've had bears in our yard recently, and I'm going to be having kids in the near future, so I just, for safety, I wanted to fence in the front and side yard.
What's the wetland?
So, let me go over this here. So this is the where my cursor is pointing. This is the driveway going in from the frontage off of Laurel Street. This is the front yard, goes around the side yard, heads to the deck. Now, calling up the mass mapper, which actually worked this time, that would encompass this area right here, around this way to the deck right here. You can see it's hard to see from the detail, but I'm afraid to start zeroing in because I've been having problems with this thing, like all of a sudden cutting out. So this area right here, the wetland is right here. And essentially the backyard, the grassy area ends. It goes into a steep slope because apparently when the house was built, there was fill brought in to establish a flat backyard years ago. You have a really lush wetland system right in the back. If you hit this little ruler cursor right here, and length is in feet, and we'll do it from right about here is where the wetland is. Closest point to the deck is about 70, well, we'll round it down and say 75 feet. So the fencing itself would be on the existing grass. There would be no vegetation removed. It would definitely be greater than 50 feet from the wetland area. And in speaking with the applicant, I don't think she's going to have a problem if we require her to leave like a 3-inch space from the grass to the bottom of the fence to allow little critters to move through.
Right.
Under the state act, this actually would meet the exemption criteria. The RDA and you guys putting in the condition for the space would cover you under your bylaw. So in effect, what you're doing is, if you approve it, you would be giving her a permit under your bylaw using the RDA process, because it's a limited scope. So, I mean, that's my take on it.
How are you gonna dig your fence post? With what?
I'm not going to be doing it.
Well, I'm thinking by hand is a good idea.
Okay.
Someone,
Okay.
not a machine, or a very small machine, I guess.
Small
mini.
machine or by hand.
What
And if it's a small machine, it'd be one of those ones that digs an arc really quick, so boom, 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 in, out, put the fence
Yeah,
post.
the less
back up and
disturbance,
you're
the
done.
better.
We've got little single-man stand-up machines called skid steers, where you could just, it's probably 6 feet long, and
Okay.
you could drill your post real quick and minimal disturbance.
And you'll know if the fence company you hire is good if you tell them this and they look at you and go, "What?" So if they don't know what you're talking about, you might want to keep looking.
Or even a handheld auger. 2 men can handle a handheld auger and not drive any equipment in there.
Sorry, I can't say that one more time.
They make gas handheld augers that one man
Ladders.
stands on each side of it, and they could drill fence posts pretty easily and quickly without bringing machinery in.
Okay.
Yeah, you can get them in any one of those hardware rental places.
Oh. Thanks. Okay.
Any abutters here with any questions? Any questions or comments from the board?
I've been out there, I've seen what she's talking about.
One thing I would like to note is that Ms. Vanelli came to me. I didn't have to go to her. She emailed me, wanted to know what the process was. She knew she had wetlands in the back. She knew that she was going to need to file something. And I just wanted to point that out to the commission because I wanted to recognize when a resident comes in on their own, and I don't have to drag them in either through enforcement or a building permit, I want to make sure that that's recognized.
Well, she hasn't started any work yet, right?
Huh?
No.
She hasn't started any work yet, right?
No, nothing. She came to us totally on her own and wanted to be prepared to do the right thing before anything started, and we had to do it backwards.
It's good. Okay, I don't have any questions. I think it's a good project, and I think the bear argument is a valid argument with young children coming up, so
I'm okay with it.
we're looking for a negative determination.
I'll make a negative determination.
Second? Negative is good.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Chair votes aye.
Thank you. You're all set.
Okay. Thank you.
By the way, negative is a positive.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. Next on the agenda. Bullspit Brewing Company is going to be moved to the next meeting because of failure to advertise. So that will be at our August meeting, which is, what is it, the 9th? I don't remember the date of the August meeting. I can look it up. The 11th. So it would be Thursday, August 11th.
So we need to open the meeting to continue it?
We can't even open it because they didn't advertise.
Okay, so it's just off the agenda?
It's just going to wind up being moved to the next meeting. So, we had it on the agenda, we had everything ready to go, but when we went to verify, we verified that they didn't do their legal ad, so we can't open it. I informed the engineer of this, that's why he's not here.
I thought previously we would have to open them to continue, and we just couldn't discuss it because they didn't advertise.
But they didn't advertise anything.
Okay. So next we have an RDA for Stephen
131 Peggy Lane, is that it?
Stephen Kosakowski, 131 Peggy Lane. Construction of a two-car garage adjacent to the existing home.
Pursuant to provisions, Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Town of Winchton and Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchton Conservation Commission will hold public hearing on Thursday, July 14, 2022, at 6:30 p.m. to consider request for determination of applicability by Stephen Kazakowski for proposed work within the 100-foot buffer zone of bordering vegetated wetland at 131 Peggy Lane, Assessors Map 6A1, Parcel 58, Greenwood Mobile Home Park. The proposed work includes construction of a two-car garage adjacent to existing home. The hearing will be held the second floor auditorium, Town Hall, Winchton, 109 Front Street. Alternative translations and accommodations for disabled persons available by advance request.
Good evening. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name's Steve Kozakowski, and we're proposing to put a two-car garage adjacent to an existing mobile home within the park. As it shows on the drawing, it is less encroachment than the existing home. It's a lawn, part of the area is existing lawn, part of the area is actually paved. That's going to be removed for the installation of the garage.
It's already paved?
Excuse me?
It's already paved?
Yeah, the house exists, and so it's already got a driveway, it's already got a lawn. People have been living there for multiple years, and they just want to add a garage next to the home.
Where the driveway already exists?
The driveway already exists, yes.
Is it going to go any larger than it, go outside the footprint of the driveway?
No, the driveway is large enough for the home, and the driveway is outside the buffer zone, but the entire garage is not. Part of the garage is outside the buffer zone, part of the garage is within the buffer zone.
It's already paved, so it's already
Correct,
impervious surface.
correct. It's already impervious surface. They have two cars parked on it as we speak. So, you know, and there's an embankment behind the home, between the home and the buffer zone. There's an embankment back when I installed the home and did an RDA back then.
Can you show me which one is it on this?
Pat, come down around the corner. There's a red and white car in the driveway.
Very bottom center.
Straight down.
Bottom center.
Straight down.
This one?
Right there,
That one
that's
right
it.
there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I went out in the field and located it. It's just hard to tell this ortho.
Yeah, that's an old picture, but. Yeah, so I did an RDA at the time when the home was installed, was granted a negative determination with conditions. Those conditions were for hay bales and silt fence behind the home to protect, you know, the wetland, even though the wetland, there is an embankment between the home and the wetland. Okay, so now that embankment is, well, one side of the embankment, the top of the embankment and the back of the embankment are still left untouched because I was asked at the time to place large rocks along the top of the embankment close enough together that would prohibit people from, you know, trying to go in there with any type of, you know, machinery, garden tractors or, you know, cars, four-wheels, that type of thing. So
You
that
can see
bank
there's boulders right here.
right, so that
see it in
bank,
the aerial.
all that still exists. We're not going near any of that. We're not proposing touching any of that. We merely want to be within the lawn and the paved area. The garage, that red car is parked like up to the stairs that go to the house. So the front of the garage is approximately even with the front of that red car so that that door is in the garage and not, you know, outside exposed to the elements. And the garage probably cuts across the center of that white
Here's the
truck.
drawing I've got on the screen.
Yep.
And
You can see the
here's
buffer zone cuts through
Here's the
there.
ortho. So, I mean, pretty much what he's saying is that it's starting here and coming out this way. Which is basically what he's got here. So, I mean, he is correct. This area right here is like right on the edge of the buffer zone. It shows that way in his plans, and this actually came to my attention as a result of a building permit application. He went for two garages, one at 131 and one at 91. The one at 91 is totally out of our jurisdiction. It's out of the 200-foot zone, it's out of the 100-foot zone. In fact, these are essentially out of the 200-foot zone, this area right here. but it's not out of the 100-foot.
Well, I don't believe this is in our jurisdiction either, because I think all we can do is condition it, because like I've often said, we can regulate out, but we can't regulate up. He can build up if he wants. There's already an impervious surface, permanent structure there in the terms of a driveway, so.
Agreed,
if he
hence the
wants to
reason
build
why I
up,
had him file the RDA.
we just have to condition how he does it. That's all I think we have the jurisdiction over. But I don't think we could stop this project.
No, I agree, and that's why I had him file the RDA instead of an NOI. I figured it was pretty easy.
Any questions or
Thanks
comments
for
from
the
the board?
drawing on a scaled plan, using the scaled plan, that's very helpful.
I was out there and I looked at what he wants, proposing to do. Right alongside, in the back, you see there's 2 cylinders by the back of the house. That's his gas tank on the side of the house. And that's
And
where
right
he
here.
wants to come, right from there to the driveway for his garage.
It's going beyond the driveway.
He wants to expand on the driveway, which
That's
was
what
my
he's gonna
question.
do, right into the garage. And I saw no problem with it, because it's well outside the wetland.
I mean, basically, anything from this point, this way, like this area here, is out of our jurisdiction entirely, because it's not in the buffer zone. So even if he widens that driveway a little bit, it's totally out of our jurisdiction anyway.
So we just have to condition how he works near the buffer zone. So it's like silt fence and hay bales, no equipment in the buffer, no equipment in the buffer zone, that's. Any questions or comments from the board?
I'm okay with it.
Any abutters here that would like to say anything about this? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for negative determination with the standard order of conditions.
I'll make a motion for a negative determination.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
135 Island is being continued to the next meeting because of the legal ad snafu.
Because of
The
the
next
what?
on the agenda would be 316 Lakeview.
Because of what snafu?
Legal.
Ad.
Okay.
To remind the commission before the legal ad is read on this one, 316 Lakeview was the violation where some trees were removed. I've met with the property owner, and he wanted to file a scope of work to take some trees out that were definitely dead or dying and replant the whole bunch in its place. So that's part of what he's here for.
Is it an after-the-fact filing?
Yeah, it's an after-the-fact.
Okay. Pursuant to provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Town of Winchendon Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchendon Conservation Commission will hold public hearing on Thursday, July 14, 2022, at 6:45 p.m. to consider request for determination of applicability filed by George Carville for proposed work within the 50-foot buffer zone of bordering vegetated wetlands at 316 Lakeview Drive, assesses map 12, parcel 29. The proposed work includes removal 5 trees, extends deck by 4 feet using cantilever, install, and retaining wall on the front of the property. Added washed beach sand to existing beach, add bark mulch to the front yard, and 3/4 stone to the driveway. The hearing will be held at second floor auditorium, Winchendon, at the Town Hall, 109 Front Street, Winchendon. Alternative translations and accommodations available by advance request.
Good evening.
Hi, my name is Cindy Carville, George Carville's sister-in-law, and this is Debbie Locke, his fiancée. George is recovering from surgery last week, so he asked me to come and speak on his behalf.
Okay.
I have some pictures. Oh, you also have the pictures of the trees that he'd like to remove?
Yes.
They've flagged them. There's 5 of them. They're kind of damaged by woodpecker holes. The one on the left of that screen, I have some printouts if you need them. The one on the left of the screen was damaged by guy wire or something from the telephone pole in the street. You can see the cable hanging.
You can see it right, he circled it, but you can
Yeah,
see
it's
there's a
right
guy
there.
wire right there. And it actually, the guy wire wound up splitting it down here.
Right.
These small trees this tree right here, and this tree right here are like, they're Swiss cheesed by woodpeckers.
And in addition to it, they also have the damage from whatever that cabbage lobe, or not cabbage, the evergreen worms, so it's becoming defoliated. The one on the right with the holes is a pine tree, and it's being like lopped like crazy. So he proposes that he'd like to take those down, and he also said that he would replace them with hemlocks or something similar, evergreen, at least 5 or 6 of them, to like restore the land and add, you know, an evergreen buffer.
Something along this line. He
Right.
gave an example picture. Hemlock and spruce is what we discussed. It's very similar to the canopy that's over there, but the spruce trees would provide a better buffer and a bit of a barrier for him, like a privacy barrier. So also with the trees, the way they're getting thinned down over there and basically beaten up, one of the things we also noticed was that it was causing, like there was, the way Menominee comes off his property, it was causing an erosion going right through those trees. This
Sure is.
actually, that, and he's also proposing a little gravel on the side where he's got sand now, would actually eliminate that erosion problem right there, so. Go ahead, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, thank you, thank you. So, you know, we were talking about what kind of trees. He said hemlock is his first choice, but with the problem with the disease and the thing, we'd like to leave it kind of open if hemlock is not the first choice, some kind of evergreen on that right-hand side of the property, lakefront. And you can see the sand driveway right there too, to kind of mitigate right now, the water runs down the street, runs down Menominee West, and you can almost see a gully where that little grass strip is, and it kind of washes into the lake. So he'd like to level it out, add some, the next thing will be adding stone to the driveway, so that it's kind of leveled and maintained and bermed away into the plantings that he's going to do to avoid the wash-off, the runoff into the lake.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
So the trees, I do have some pictures of the trees, if you need them, you have them, or?
I've got them here.
Okay, thank you.
So there's 2 more scopes to his proposal. One is he has a deck right here. The water is basically over here where my cursor is. He wants to extend the deck out 4 feet, but not in the ground. He wants to cantilever it. So essentially, it'd be like coming off this existing deck, but it would be, beams that would suspend it in the air. So I don't have a problem with that because it's not touching the earth.
Right.
The other part of his, in the it's street side, they call it, on lakes, they call it the backyard. 'Cause I guess they call it by the water the front yard. He wanted to do a little retaining wall over here. This I'd rather eliminate from the proposal currently and hold off on. I want to examine that a little bit more closely. He can come back with another filing or a notice of intent filing on that. I need to examine that a little bit more. There's a little bit more work here than what I had heard from him on site that I had envisioned. The rest of it, I don't have an issue with. I think it's wonderful. I think it'll do a lot to improve his property. It'll improve the looks of the property. The cantilevering of the deck, again, I don't have an issue with it, so.
So the idea about the retaining wall would be a small block wall to kind of level that backyard up, the front yard, backyard, whatever. And the idea would be to plant like native plants like junipers, and we were out there walking, some low-growing things to kind of, it's all gravel, and there's, it's not very healthy soil. So to establish, put some like low-growing shrubs and some bark mulch or something to kind of encourage, some kind of a ground cover rather than run off right down into that hill.
It's a good goal, but there's not enough detail on this drawing.
So, because that's what I was gonna say, one reason Matt would need to visit that is because you're gonna totally change the flows when you do that. And those flows have to be basically engineered. You can't just make the water flow anywhere with a retaining wall. It's gotta flow the right way.
So what I need to do is I need to go over this with him to see if we could put a drawing together and a scope of work that's
Sure, how
going to be
big and-
below that threshold where he actually would need an engineer's drawing. But I gotta do more. I gotta do more elbow grease on what he's got here.
Okay.
But the rest of it's great.
All right, so driveway's okay to add the stone?
Yeah, it's
Wonderful.
gonna solve a lot of problems.
It will, it seriously will. And I think his idea, his vision of the wall, just a low one, I think anything more than,
It's not gonna be
just
poured
like
or anything, it's
2
just
or
gonna
3.
be those blocks.
No, and I'm sure, but there's not enough detail on here for the commission to make an actual conclusive permitted decision.
Perfect.
So I want to work that out with George when he recovers from his surgery.
Absolutely.
It's not that we can't permit it, we just need more detail to permit it.
Gotcha.
And I don't want the wall to hold you up from the rest of this work, especially the replanting of the trees.
Right.
Because I think what you're looking for replanting is going to make the conditions better than what's there now.
I think it
So,
is.
I think it's a wonderful idea, and I think, you know, you guys are to be commended on your thinking process on this. I think we've taken what started out as a violation and turned it around to something that's going to be really beneficial to the water and to you guys.
Thank you.
And I think at least one of those trees could be a safety issue soon, the way it was leaning, so that's improved the safety of the property as well.
Absolutely. I
so.
think one of them could fall on the cars. I mean, as you can see right there, the cars would be parked right by the stairs, and some of those bigger trees are very close to that.
Questions or comments from the board?
I'm good.
I'm okay with it.
I'm good with everything. I'm okay with, I'm good with everything but the retaining wall, but I think the rest sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want these for your records?
Yeah, I'll take them.
There you go.
I could always use
With his notes.
anything I can get.
There you go.
I'll
Thank you.
take it.
Nice to meet you. I also have the pleasure of being on zoning board.
Okay.
Nice to meet you, too.
And please tell George that I hope he feels better.
Yes, he had emergency surgery last week.
He's had a few problems, huh?
Yes, he has. So
Vote to let him
thank
take
you
the
very
trees
much.
down.
Good.
I'll entertain a motion for a negative determination.
You want what?
I'll entertain a motion for a negative determination to take the trees down.
I'll make a motion for a negative determination to take the tree down.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second.
Don't forget about the stone on the side for the driveway and the cantilever. Just, you guys can do that. It's the wall I have an issue with right now that I gotta resolve.
Right, we only voted on the trees.
Huh?
We only voted on the trees.
Right.
Right.
Apologies.
Sorry.
What, did you wanna wait on the rest of that too, or?
Oh, yeah.
Driveway.
Okay.
Okay, we can make a motion to table the retaining wall until the rest of the project is complete.
Okay, so just to make sure, because I'm confused, they can do the replanting of the trees along with the stone planting on the side?
I believe so, yeah, that was the motion.
Right.
Take care of the trees. Do what you
Motion
plan
was
to do with the
And then
trees.
do that little 4-foot lip of the deck that's suspended?
Right. They could do that.
Why don't you rescind your motion and make a new motion, Lionel, to include the deck?
I'll make a motion to include the deck, to do the driveway, add wash beach sand to existing beach, add bark mulch to the front yard. I approve it, I make a motion to approve everything except for the installation of the retaining wall.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys, I don't mean to be a fuss budget, it's just when I write these documents, I do it
Right, yeah.
exactly to
Yeah,
your
you gotta be
motions.
thorough. Don't want anybody coming back.
Was that good enough?
That was beautiful.
Want to make sure.
Almost poetic, Lionel.
All right. Pursuant to provisions, Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, of the Town of Winchton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchton Conservation Commission will hold public hearing on Thursday, July 14, 2022, at 6:50 PM to consider notice of intent filed by applicant Asphone Barron, owner Paul, boy, I'm not even gonna, Torligvi? I'm butchering that. 28 West Shore Drive, map 6, parcel 49. Construction of a septic system to serve existing dwelling within 100 foot of Sunset Lake. The hearing will be held on the second floor auditorium, Town Hall 109 Front Street, Winchton. Alternative translations and accommodations for disabled persons is available by advance request. Boy, I really, okay.
So just to clarify, Paul, we're gonna have to, we'll do a basic presentation, but it's gonna have to be continued due to lack of a DEP number.
Right.
In fact, they haven't even been posted on the EEA portal yet. For some reason.
EA Quarterly, yeah. I got the joke.
Could you introduce yourself, please, sir?
Paul Grazowitz, Graz Engineering.
Thank you.
This project consists of a septic upgrade. Actually, that's not the plan.
It looks like they may have put up a bunch of them. Looks like they may have scanned everything at once. Okay, let me just...
Anyways, while he's looking for that, I have one copy of the plan here. I could pass out full-size copies out of it, if you got them with you, Matt.
Let me see if I can pull that up from the... I'll look at the other files and see if it's in there, but it's not here. See if it got mixed up somehow.
So we're proposing to put a septic system upgrade in the buffer zone to Sunset Lake. We're putting it just below the house. It'll be a gravity system. And perk rate was a little bit slow. It was 40 minutes an inch, so the system got rather long. We went with, we're asking for a reduction in the approved Presby size with the Board of Health. Not a waiver per se, because it's allowed by Title V to be smaller. But, so we've minimized the footprint by using a slope bed and by putting in impervious barrier to pull the grading in closer to the system. With that said, it's mostly outside of the 50-foot offset. There's a little bit of grading at the bottom of the slope that's in the 50, and the rest of the system is in the 50 to 100-foot zone. I could give you my one copy here.
Go to the old-fashioned system.
See, it might be on the internet page. I'm just pulling that up now.
Okay, here's the lake. Here's the
Nope.
here's the 50-foot coming
Wow.
like this across here. It's all, most of the area is, there's already grass, wildflowers, this whole area here. It's mostly wildflower, I wouldn't really say grass. We do have to go into the woods a little bit, only because the system just got so, the perk rate was slow, like I said, so I never really envisioned the system being that big, but I can't control it. So most of the area's already been disturbed.
So was the original system in there? You're taking it out, and putting in a new one? Where was the original? Oh, I see it, never mind. Okay.
Yeah, the
Yep.
original system
Up
is,
back
we gotta
here.
put a new tank in, but there's
Yep.
a,
Existing garage.
there's
so-
a, right here is the old, there's a little old system in the ground right there.
Huh.
Tank comes out the,
Westfield, just like a leach, no, just tanks.
yeah, it's just a tank, and, there's a pit there, I think, I believe. Really wasn't enough to,
No, that's the old tank, that's the new tank.
only 2 people there, so they've been milking it through, but
Pretty much in the same spot.
time to change it and upgrade it. And the people that are living there are buying it, so, you know, this is part of the sale.
Well, any questions or comments from the board?
This still needs a DEP number.
Unfortunately, DEP numbers are not easy to come by these days.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be up here, the actual plan itself, so you'd have to go by the paper copies.
Well, we got the prints, so nothing
Yeah,
really
we
he
looked
can
at
do
them
other than
later.
what he's doing.
No, I don't disagree.
Yep.
There was a question about the 100-year flood on the lake. The GIS shows the 100-year flood going right up to the house. And the system's 10 feet above the lake, actually, our grading is 10 feet above the lake level.
Yeah, I actually asked that question all the time.
Oh, yeah, that's septic, the old one.
When the computer was working.
That's a new one. This is the old one.
I examined the overlays from the Mass Mapper and saw that there was a floodplain overlay, which looked like a very outdated old one that was still there. So I went over it with Mr. Grazowitz here, and it turns out that Mr. Grazowitz had done a flood study in that area showing conclusively it wasn't in the floodplain, it actually had a
Right
LOMA,
here, right?
letter of map amendment from
That's where it's going, right?
FEMA done. And he sent me the material, so I entered that. That's being entered into the file, but I do have those.
It isn't very far.
Gotta have it done.
I just wanted to make sure before the state issued the number that we had it documented that that area flood map was changed. And he had done that, so.
Okay.
We've added a little wall down at the bottom just to save on some of the grading there too, to keep it further from the lake.
I think the board's okay with it. I just lost my internet connection, so I forgot what we're looking for here, Matt,
For,
for a motion.
Motion for the negative.
you have to continue it to the next meeting for lack of a DEP number.
Oh, this one doesn't have one either?
No.
Which one was that?
We were talking 28 Shore, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, same thing. Apparently, you're gonna have to go by the paper copies on Hill because apparently it wasn't loaded.
So we have to continue it?
Unfortunately, because I can't issue any permits until we have a number.
So we're looking at 11 August at 6:10, if someone would make a motion to continue it, please.
I'll make a motion to continue it until 8/11/22.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thanks,
You
Bob.
guys
All right, thank you.
you guys are happy with it when they get a number for the next meeting, just open it and bang.
Yeah.
Paul, you want this copy back?
You got that, Paul?
No hearing notice.
Thank you.
Smile. It's not that bad.
There's no, Matt, there's no hearing notice for this?
There's no legal there?
Oh, I found it. Oh, never mind. Okay. Pursuant to provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Town of Winchton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchton Conservation Commission will hold public hearing on Thursday, July 14th, 2022, at 6:55 PM to consider notice of intent filed by applicant Dan Breton, owner Jameson Van Dyke, 67 Hill Street, assesses map 5C1, parcel 73, construction of a driveway within the 200-foot riverfront buffer of the Millis River to serve a single-family dwelling outside the riverfront buffer. Construction will result in 3,731 square feet of new riverfront buffer disturbance. The hearing will be held second floor auditorium at the Town Hall, 109 Front Street, Winchester, Mass. Alternative translations and accommodations for disabled persons available by advance request.
Just so the commission knows, this is another one that doesn't have a DEP number.
So it has to be continued to the next meeting.
It has to be.
Right, okay.
We can't approve it until the next meeting.
Right, we can still do the hearing, though.
If you guys want to hear it and hear what he has to say, fine.
Go ahead, introduce yourself, please, sir.
Paul Grazowitz, Graz Engineering.
Thank you.
For the owner, Jamison Van Dyke. This notice of intent involves crossing riverfront in order to get to the buildable area of this lot. This lot presently, well, it's 1.5 acres, but we're combining it. He's got another piece adjacent to it, so it's going to be 8 acres when it's completed. You can see the 200-foot riverfront line and the shading, the hatched area. The first part of the driveway, all of the riverfront work relates to the driveway, and will be coming in actually outside of the tree line. It's an area that's currently lawn and is being used, and we're going to regrade it to get a suitable grade there coming in. We're climbing into the site,
Yeah, we don't have the electronic version. Still showing Doyle.
Oh, you don't have that one? Okay.
Nope.
I can give you this.
Please.
And basically, once we get in to the lot, we're turning and getting out of the riverfront. They usually bring like 3 copies, I'll get in tight.
I got this online. Is it the same?
So we've included, as this was pre-96, we've included a riverfront analysis, which is basically limited to the lot. And this is the only way into the lot. The driveway is going to be in a cut, so the work related to the driveway is not going to be running down the bank, towards the river.
Excuse me. The public will have a chance to speak when the chairman requests it. Thank you.
And we are below the, we're below the threshold, the 5,000 square feet. Well, actually, I didn't even check the 10%, but I'm sure the 10% is even bigger than 5,000. We're just getting in there with the driveway and then getting out of it.
Not even the same thing,
Matt, what do you say about this?
Well, I mean, all the documentation's in order. The alternative analysis looks acceptable. He is correct. It is the only means of egress onto the property. But I haven't had the chance to analyze any of the drainage patterns at all. I think they're probably fine, but I'd like to see what DEP says with their comments about the alternatives analysis, because usually if there's any issues they have, they'll say it in their comments.
Right.
I'm not anticipating anything major. So I think once we hear from them, if we have any comments from them to take into consideration, or anything else that comes up, we could probably issue a standard order for it, maybe add a couple extra conditions. But I'd like to hear what they say first, if anything.
Have you been out to the site, Matt?
Yeah, I know the site.
Lionel, you have anything?
Yeah, I got a question. I thought we were supposed to remain 200 feet away from the river, period.
No, actually, you can work within the riverfront up to a 10% threshold. In this case, the 10% standard is a little bit more relaxed because it's a pre-existing lot prior to 1996. So you can work within the riverfront. That's why we have the permitting. As far as the riverfront standards go, he has to show that he's maximized the location of that driveway out of the riverfront to the maximum extent practical. He also has to show that he's keeping the alteration within the riverfront to a minimum. And there are conditions that we can add to that if we want to, look at the driveway, do any types of, buffer plantings or, drainage mitigation. But as long as he stays within that 10% threshold, he should be okay.
What does that do to the abutter's property?
I'm sorry, what was
What
that?
does that do to the abutter's property in front of him?
Well, that's what we're analyzing right now. That's why I asked to wait for the DEP comments. I want their comments on the driveway.
All right, and also, did you go and see that they have two wetlands that come off that property on top of the hill?
I checked the wetland delineation, but what they're looking to propose here isn't gonna impact those wetlands, not in my opinion. This is purely a riverfront issue.
Okay.
So my concern on this, I've been out to the site, I'm very familiar with the site. I'm really opposed to the, pretty much the whole project, just because of the topography of the land. The sloping of the hill there, it's like a 45-degree angle. How in God's name are you truly gonna be able to stabilize that driveway without, you have a major rainfall during construction or anything like that, it's gonna be a disaster. And it's gonna cut a ravine that's probably not gonna be repairable. I think for the board to allow this much disturbance for just one home in such a tough area, it'd be different if it was, you know, a 2% grade or something like that, but this is the slope of a mountain, just about. So I am really not supporting this one.
Okay, and I mean, that's.
I don't know if the other members have been out to the site, but they certainly need to walk it, and if they haven't been out, they need to go see it.
Well, I mean, we have plenty of, I mean, your points are valid.
Right.
I think he's got his grading, it's the during construction, that's always the concern.
How do you stabilize it?
That's steep. So, considering we have time before the DEP issues their number in their comments, we have time in between meetings, perhaps this is a good candidate for a walk with all of us.
Right, I would suggest that.
I'll revisit it with you. I didn't think about that. I just thought about, I didn't think about the engineering side of it. I was just looking at the wetlands areas.
Yep.
Yeah, the building area is the only decent, I want to call it level, but flatter spot in the whole property.
It's a
So you can
tough-
see from the plan, the grades aren't bad once you get in there. We're coming in basically in the lawn area of the abutter. So we're putting a retaining wall in at the property line and doing a cut, you know, to make.
You're gonna have very little support left there after you put your driveway through. I mean, to that pitch, to that pitch down to the river. It's not a nice gradual slope.
No, I mean, below the driveway, it's going to be steep.
Yeah,
You worried about washout?
I've walked it, I've already been there,
You worried about washout in the driveway?
yeah, I'm worried about washing, if that driveway, whatever they put for a retaining wall, even during destruction or once they build the driveway, fails, and there's no stopping it.
All right, we'll have to walk it, since we don't have a DEP number anyway. Sir, did you want to say something?
You asked, I'm in a butter, I'd like to speak.
Okay, can you approach a mic, please? State your name.
Any one of those two mics will be fine.
My name's Dave Urquhart. The property that abuts this piece of property is about 3.5 acres, owned by New England Woodenware. If you head out of town on Route 202 South, and you cross that bridge heading toward Baldwinville, the property starts immediately in the vicinity of that small bridge. And then for the next 1,000 feet before you get to that old factory, it is the property that is on the north side of the Millers River. And it's a piece of property that's been owned by that company, my company, for over 100 years. It has not been disturbed for over 100 years. It's a almost pristine piece of property with some absolutely magnificent trees on it. Oak, maple, just some beautiful things. And in order to access this property, you go past this factory. If I had not said it, it's about 3.5 acres. To access the property, you go past the factory and you take a right-hand turn as though you're heading toward Brown Street, and then you veer to the right and you start going up Hill Street. The first right-hand turn off of Hill Street to the east is this old access road, which is owned by the company and part of this 3.5 acres. The very next piece is apparently this narrow slot of land owned by Van Dyke, on which they're attempting to build this, driveway. The next piece of property is 57 on the right-hand side, and then 75 beyond that. And this home that they're attempting to design and build is cited as being number 67. So number 67 is going to happen on Hill Street at this driveway before you get to 57 and then get to 75. Anyway, on the piece of property which I believe you've just looked at, it speaks about some previously disturbed property, or previously disturbed, I'll quote it exactly, previously disturbed riverfront area to be used for access. The reason it's previously disturbed is Mr. Van Dyke, who's no longer with us, 12 to 15 years ago, without any permission whatsoever, he used our piece of property to come in and access. He had no driveway at the time, so he used our property without our permission, took down quite a few trees on the north side of our property, and then he went up and he clear-cut this piece of property on which they're now, 10, 15 years later, talking about building a house and a septic field. If they are allowed to create a driveway on this narrow strip of land off of Hill Street, the elevation from the entrance on Hill Street to where the septic field is being proposed is about 40 feet. And this septic field will end up being about 100 feet away from the property that I'm talking about, which we own, just 100 feet of drop. And then it's about 80 feet of elevation change from this proposed septic field down to the waters of the Millers River, which would only be another maybe 100, 120 feet away. And so this is really like taking a shoehorn and trying to stuff this structure into a piece of property that is undeserving of being, and it's going to adversely affect this magnificent piece of property that I've already tried to describe, which deserves the protection that it currently has from the U.S. Wetlands Protection Act and the existing 200-foot buffer. And so we are against the idea of creating some sort of waiver that would obviate the constraints that the Wetland Protection Act currently provides. And with that, I think I've said everything I wanted to say. Okay? It's a bad idea. It's not going to add to the ambiance of this lovely old town, and that riverfront deserves lots of consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Approach the mic, please. You approach the mic, please. State your name.
To make this driveway,
State your name, please.
Edward Greenleaf, 57 Hill Street.
Okay.
To make this driveway, he's got to cut the bankings within 15 feet of my swimming pool to make that driveway. And it's a slope all the way down to the river. I bought my house for privacy. I can't see where he don't have the 100-foot frontage to make this. And I can't see how he can get it. And in 2005, I have a cease and desist because they were clear-cutting that lot. They were throwing everything in the river that they're not using for cordwood. They were supposed to come back and clean it up. They never did. Half of that stuff floated down the river, and it's still on the banking, some of it. So I don't see how they're gonna...
I'd like to...
Okay, just a second,
I'd just
please.
like to interrupt one second. And Paul, that cease and desist, as far as I'm concerned, is still in effect. I have a copy of it. It was filed against Bob, but I don't think it was ever addressed.
Yeah, we have a copy
Never
right
cleared
here.
up, so that's something we might have to look at.
Cease and desist order.
Go ahead, Mr. Greenleaf, I'm sorry.
When they were issued it, they just packed up and left. They never came back.
Do you have it?
So I don't see how they're gonna take care of the river right now.
I don't believe that was ever rescinded.
all, sir.
Thank you. Any other butters?
It's an extra copy?
Daniel Martha, 62 Hill Street.
Go ahead.
I fish in that river from time to time, and you get a good rainstorm, that slope is gonna pull it all into the river, set us back 20 years. I walk my dog on that trail, and I don't understand how he gets the right to put a driveway in on that trail. May I ask you, you're the Conservation Commission, why do we have a buffer zone? May I remind you? 100 feet, why does he get to go 50? That's all.
That's what we're here to consider.
Sorry?
That's what we're here to consider.
My name is John Shepson, 79 Hill Street, Winchendon, Mass. My son has been going down to that river since he was 12 years old, okay? And as far as I know, there is a federal act, because it's Miller's River, 250 feet from any Miller's River. Miller's River is protected by the federal government, not by the town, as far as I know. Okay, that's, local, looking up, you can look that up in the government. And the Corps of Engineers are supposed to come up and check that. If anybody's gonna build near that kind of property, especially near Miller's River, they're supposed to come up and walk it out, check it out, they're supposed to be notified. Why it's not happening, I don't know. I know that there's otters right where this man has his line. There's otters, there's wood turtles, there are endangered species right in that area. I personally can take you there and show you, okay? Because my son goes down there every day, and he gets shiners and crawfish and stuff like that because he goes fishing. All right, so if you do anything to that hill, I don't care what any of you or anybody says, that dirt's gonna go down. You're gonna kill the otters. You're gonna kill the turtles. You're gonna kill endangered species. That's wrong. I will call West Boylston, and I will have them come up, and I will show them the endangered species. Because I've seen in Mr. Chabanel's yard, otters laying in his yard. And then they go right into that river. Okay? They're river otters. We shouldn't be touching that. That's just my opinion. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Sir, did you have something to say? Oh.
I had one question I forgot to ask.
Can you ask it into the mic, please? We're being broadcast, so the public deserves to hear what you're saying.
The one question I forgot to ask is on this drawing that I think was made up by Graz Engineering. There's just below where it says the property previously disturbed, just below that previous disturbance, which I think we already spoke about, took place in 2005 when Van Dyke came in unannounced, without request, trashed our dirt access road, and then clear cut that rather precipitous hill. But on this print that was created by this engineering firm Graz, and I think this might be Mr. Graz, is that right?
Yep.
Hi. What does it mean that the property line is to be extinguished? I assume this is the property line that exists now or shortly between the Van Dyke access road and the New England Woodenware property. What does that mean?
There's two Van Dyke properties there.
This line
Yeah,
here.
yeah, this comes to a point down here. So it's just joining this piece and this piece.
I did not understand. I just
So
wanted to ask that
it's making it
question.
one, it's two pieces now. There'll be one.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. That's it, that was my question.
Thank you.
Can I say one more thing?
Go ahead, Lonnie.
As far as this road, this dirt road that goes along the river, that was not a dirt road made by Mr. Van Dyke. That's a mistake. It was a trolley line that went through there. That should be protected for the heritage of Winchton. Never mind letting them dig it up.
You might be talking down the slope where the water line is shown right there.
Right along the river where you can walk all the way across,
Right,
used to be a trolley line
Down below us quite a bit.
that went to Waterville.
Yeah.
And it came across the bridge and went up and came across High Street. That was a trolley line, way back in, before 1938 flood. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Brian Charbonneau. I live right on Hill Street, across the river. I grew up on that river. I've been there my whole life. I fished it since I've been a kid, and years went by, they stopped stocking the river for many years, and finally the water cleared up again, so they started stocking, and it's just a beautiful piece. I hate to see this get eroded like it's already doing on nature's side. You guys need to look into this, honestly. You can already see the erosion going down to the river from these old roads in there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anything else, Paul, before we continue this? Anything else?
No, that's it. We'll take another look at it and continue it.
Motion to continue.
August 11 at 6:10, 6:15.
6:15.
Paul, can I ask you a question? Did you know about the violation?
No, I did not.
Okay, motion's been made. Can I get a second?
I'll make a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion, continue till August 11th.
Discussion, do we want to do a site walk? Have you been there?
I know the vicinity, but I'd like to walk it. I've walked the hill with my dog coming from the river, but
I'd like to see it if you.
Is the email that you and I were exchanging about the solar field, I was thinking maybe we could take like a Saturday or a Sunday and do both sites, the solar field and this site. Because they're anxious to close that out, and I know you guys wanted to see it with me, so.
All right.
Do you want a specific date now, or do you want me to try to make arrangements?
Yeah, make it work. That's
All right,
all
well,
I'm saying.
I'll make it work.
Yeah.
This email, I'm only available Saturdays and Sundays, just for keep that in mind.
Yep, no, I'll definitely make it work. And it'll be Sundays after like noon, right?
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Paul.
Yep, thank you.
you want this, Paul?
Sure. Well, why don't you keep that and use it for your site walk?
Did you? I gave Paul.
Yeah, Paul, we'll notify you of the date of the
Another
sidewalk
copy
in
of
case
that,
you or somebody wants to be there.
Cease and desist. Paul wants to know if he can keep a copy.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Lionel, can you get another copy of that cease and desist?
I have to go downstairs, yeah. On Monday I should get it. Yeah, I'll make a copy.
You can keep that copy of that cease and desist.
Pardon me?
You can keep the copy of the cease and desist.
Yeah.
I'll get another copy myself. I'll get that out of the file.
I have a copy of it at home, too.
No, I was gonna say, if you want.
What do we got next?
No, you got my number.
So, yeah.
Call my number. Show you where.
You up again, Paul?
Take a walk along.
Yeah, two more.
Busy guy.
Doyle Ave.
And this
That
one,
one, we
this one we have a plan for. I've seen it already.
Yeah, several times.
All set. Pursuant to provisions, Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Winchton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchton Conservation Commission will hold public hearing on Thursday, July 14, 2022, at 7 p.m. to consider notice of intent filed by owner of Asher Construction, LLC for Doyle Ave, Assessors Map 8, Parcel 236. Construction of a single-family dwelling serviced by a septic system within a 100-foot buffer zone of the wetland assessed by the driveway, which involves a wetlands crossing with 1,533 square feet of wetlands disturbance. The hearing will be held second floor auditorium at the Town Hall, 109 Front Street, Winchester, Mass. Alternative translations and accommodations for disabled persons available by advanced request.
Good evening, sir. Could you please announce your name?
Good evening, Paul Grazowitz, Graz Engineering, for the applicant, Asher Construction.
This one does have a DEP number, by the way.
Okay.
It does?
Yeah, it does.
We filed them all at the same time.
I see it, I saw a DEP number on this one.
Oh,
I'll look again.
that's okay, I believe you. I checked this morning and it didn't, but I didn't check this afternoon.
Well, maybe I misread it. I'll double check it.
While he's looking, this one involves a wetlands crossing to get to the buildable upland area. And the crossing is going to, we're going to lose about 1,500 square feet of wetlands, which we're proposing to replicate adjacent to that same wetland. We're actually going to revise this to...
No, I stand corrected. That was the other house you had.
Okay, yeah, that was the first one. We're going to go 1.5 to 1 instead of 1 to 1 on the proposed replication. And I'm also going to look to see if I can't, by bringing the driveway straighter in, maybe even reduce the square footage a little bit. It'll depend on the grading, but it'll result in a little bit less driveway and maybe, probably, a little bit square footage loss on the wetlands. And with some boulders, a boulder wall basically on each side, I think I can get that square footage down even more. The house itself is a little bit in the 100-foot buffer. I'm going to see if I can get the house entirely out of the 100-foot buffer zone and incorporate some dry wells and some grading to get some water back into the ground. Outside of the, what I would like to do also is on the driveway, if I can do some type of a small basin or something down near the wetlands on each side of the wetlands crossing to get the water to go, not directly into the wetlands, but to get it to go into the upland area. It'll cause a little more disturbance in the 50-foot, but it would be it'd be a benefit as far as the driveway goes.
Hey, Paul, when you start tweaking the house out of the buffer zone, can you see what you can do about the driveway turnaround in the 75-foot no build?
Yeah.
See what you can do about tweaking that too?
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like he's got some elbow grease he still has to put in these plans.
So it looks like he's mentioned about 5 revisions he's going to make, so with no DEP number, I'd like to just move on to the next hearing.
I have a question for him before we move it on. So Paul, I was out there today. I can't hide a hair of the flagging. There's no blue flagging. All there is orange flagging. Looks like it goes right through the wetlands. I couldn't follow it.
Well, that stone wall is the best way to figure out where you are. There's a stone wall that comes from the road,
Yep.
and it comes in and stops just short of the wetland.
Okay.
And I know once you get, I know the guys hung flagging on the roadway side of the wetlands back many months ago.
A little brook that goes down through there, there's orange flags in the middle of it, and there's orange flags on 20 feet of either side of it.
I think I used blue. I think when you get to the other side of the wetlands, they're all blue.
Are they in there?
The orange flags
I
were
did
the
those
survey
myself,
flags
and they
for the
got numbers
crossing.
on them.
Okay.
So when you get to the other side of the wetlands, you can walk through it easy. You'll see numbered ribbons going down.
Who flagged the wetlands? Who flagged them?
I did the house side, and my, one of my engineers, Josh, did the road side.
Okay, the orange flags you saw were for the survey shooting and the markings for the crossing.
Okay.
That's what those were for.
All right. It was kind of confusing.
Try and use blue, but sometimes we don't have blue, but I think they're blue on the other side anyways, on the house side. But that stone wall will get you in the right spot.
That stone wall's already in place? Stops right there?
This stone wall, right here.
Oh,
So, okay, so everything's, all right. I know where the stone wall is.
So that gets you to the wetlands right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We're gonna continue it anyhow, right?
Yeah, he's got a lot more elbow grease to put in this plan. Sounds like he's gonna tweak it to try to increase the proposed replication and decrease the amount of wetlands he actually has to cross. So, and maybe tweak the house farther out of the buffer zone, and get some of that impervious farther out of the buffer zone. So, this apparently is still a work in progress, so yeah, definitely a continuance.
All right, continuation to August 11th at 6:20.
I make a motion to continue it till August 11th, 2022.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Paul, make sure when you make changes that you send it to DEP directly.
Yeah, well.
Because they'll start asking me, hey, where are the change plans? Save me a little time.
Yep.
This other one doesn't have a DP.
This one doesn't have a DEP number.
That's 770 River Street, right?
Right. Guess who the engineer is on this one?
Oh, you know what, there was an abutter here.
Oh, wouldn't you know?
I just did.
Wouldn't you know?
Ask him if he's got anything.
We're gonna build you a little log cabin so you can stay right here, you don't have to go anywhere.
That was right here. He abuts the property that Paul was talking about. Okay, are we ready?
We're ready.
Okay. Pursuant to provision of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, of the Town of Winchendon Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchendon Conservation Commission will hold public hearing on Thursday, July 14th, 2022, at 7:05 PM to consider notice of intent filed by applicant Chris
It's the same one.
Canapolis?
Capsamalis.
Katsamalis, okay. Owner Julie Horman, deceased, of 770 River Street, assessors map 130, parcel 136, construction of a septic system to serve an existing dwelling within the 100-foot buffer zone of wetland.
Oh, we're gonna have to do the paper copies on these again, I'm sorry.
Hearing will be held on the second floor auditorium, Town Hall, 109 Front Street. Alternative translations and accommodations for disabled persons available in advance request, at advance request. Okay.
Paul, you're gonna have to do the paper copy on this one again.
Okay. I'll give you my copy that I brought here tonight. This is another septic upgrade. He doesn't have the one for the screen.
State your name. To be legal.
Paul Grazowitz, Graz Engineering. for the applicant, Capsamalis. This project is a septic upgrade. They had a failed Title V. We are proposing to put the system back in the relatively, well, the same location in the backyard. You know, we've got a couple well radiuses we're battling, and there is a wetland. Apparently, when they constructed this, the backyard's all fill, or at least on the well, the downslope side there. I think it's the right side on the plan. And at the toe of that slope, there's a sensitive fern, so the wetlands come right up into that area. So we are in the we're in the buffer zone of the wetlands there. And that's why we filed a notice of intent versus an RDA. We'll put erosion controls up. The system's going back in the same place. We've got to file with the Board of Health still, because we need a couple of waivers to go back in that location. The area, the yard, it's all yard area fenced in. It's already altered. You know, it's where the system needs to go. The well's in the front yard, unfortunately. If we could have flopped things around, we could have got out of the, you know, the buffer zone, but.
Matt, what do you think?
I don't really have any issues with this. We just need to wait for the DEP number. And in the meantime, you're gonna have to ask for a couple of variances, so you should probably try to get progress on that and get that out of the way
Yeah,
while we're waiting.
we'll get before the Board of Health on their August, first week in August, or first, whatever day they meet there in August.
All right, so they'll be meeting with the Board of Health the week before us, so hopefully he can get the variances out of the way. Because I'd rather have the Board of Health approval secured first before you guys finish with it.
We're just on August 11th, so that's not far after. So.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, we're just on August 11th, so that's not far after.
Right.
So it's not a long wait.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Lionel.
According to this map, if you look at it, it says 100-foot buffer zone within the well area on his water and 100 foot in the next door neighbor's well. Is that allowed within that 100-foot buffer zone?
The 100-foot well radius?
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to notify the abutters and have a hearing with the Board of Health.
Because I see both of them are within that 100 foot.
Both wells, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
They're 80, I mean, they're not too bad, they're 80-something feet, but they're in it. The system's already in the 100-foot well radiuses of both of those wells now, and the new one will be too.
It's the wrong drawing on there if you're looking, Matt.
Pardon me?
Matt was looking for that print, it's the wrong one on that.
Look on
Oh, you're looking at the,
Yeah, he would.
We have a screen here that mimics that screen.
Yeah,
oh,
he was just on the
They
wrong
attached the
plan.
last-
There it
the
is,
last
right
drawing
there,
on it.
behind the house. That's the house.
that
Now
doesn't
you
look
gotta
like
go
it.
forward.
There was a field down below the,
We know where that field came from.
no, that doesn't look like we're in the right spot.
Yeah, that's the house,
Huh?
This is 770 right here.
the field right there. And the
Oh,
guy's-
okay.
the
I guess
guy's
those
well
aren't
is-
trees, I guess.
Right. The guy's well is on the other side of those trees. And his well is just in front of those trees, where that trailer is, or whatever that building is. And all the wetlands is down where all that dark green is. All the way out back to that road. I remember that well.
Look at that greenery.
Excuse me?
Look at all that greenery.
Yeah, well, remember that house next door?
Sorry.
We walked out,
Yep.
they had a road out back. and he built right up to the road.
Yep.
He cut trees in that, and that's where we had the problem.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look at that.
And then just below the house, that banking that slopes down, there used to be, right where those bushes are all dried up in the front, right along that entranceway down below, it used to be a wet area. He filled it in.
Going towards the house to the left?
To the, yeah, you come from right along those trees on the left-hand side toward the right-hand side, there's all dry bushes just below the house. Right at the entranceway, there was a wetland area.
Yeah, we have, on that plan, you'll see, basically it starts at the bottom of that slope. There's a little wetland. I don't know. It doesn't look like it can go very far because you're going to hit that guy's driveway there. On the
No,
neighbor's driveway.
that's
Talking about
the
that corner?
problem, that's the problem we had way back then, was the guy's driveway next door.
Oh,
You're talking the back corner of 770?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see what looks like a wetland on the screen.
Okay, so it doesn't have a DEP, so we have to go for a
Yep.
continuance?
Continue to August 11th to 6/25.
Okay. I make a motion to continue it until August 11th at 6:25.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Need this back, Paul?
Yeah, sure.
Want to give me an eyeliner?
What? Aye.
You want to eye your vote, Lionel?
Aye,
Chair votes aye.
sorry.
That's actually it. That's all she wrote.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we'll adjourn the meeting at 8:56.
Sir?